Hey guys, Scott here, Pine Barren Craftsman. I want to do a video here. It's been a couple of days before I've done one of these sit down and discuss my thoughts videos. First of all, I want to thank all the military. I hung out with some people that were actually in the military today, and I didn't even remember to thank them. But I want to thank people. Uh, I appreciate doesn't even sound like a good enough word for the service and the sacrifice that people make every day for this country, overseas and home, taking away time from their family, other sides of the country. It's just something that goes without saying, but it should be said louder and it should be more meaningful and heartfelt. Without the men and women in our armed forces and military, um, we wouldn't have a country, we wouldn't have anything. And I believe that they are the true greatest part of our country. And thank you. So the video today is about a good topic, a positive topic, something that I think might help people. And I'm going to get right to it because I can tend to be long-winded. Do you know what your significant other, male, female, relationship, whatever you're in, what your spouse is most interested in for themselves? Like, what is their hobby? What is their interest? What is their passion? What is something that they would do more of, right? I know a lot of us spend time thinking about ourselves as far as hobbies are concerned, right? So when I would work at the water company, I'd be driving for 8 hours, 9 hours a day, thinking about what I was going to do when I got home. Our minds gravitate towards, the weekends. What are you going to do when you get some free time? I think a lot of times people think when they're at work a lot better about what they're going to do when they get home, and then they get home and they're just like exhausted, or other things come up, and you tend to squander away the time that you have. I remember a lot of times thinking about, I can't wait to get off work. I'm going to get home. I'm going to go do this. It's going to be great. And the second I get off work, I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. Because you're tired. Mentally, traffic, driving, mentally stressful jobs. Like I tend to skirt around more administrative jobs and don't think of the same way, but they're mentally draining, and that will physically make you tired. You might just be at a computer all day, and it's real easy for me to be a guy that worked at a tree service or on a road crew and say, oh man, you're sitting in the air conditioning all day. You don't know how hard it is to work. But if they're at that desk locked in with their keyboards locked in and mousing it, and 1 minute leads to the next, and there's emails and there's people that are counting on you. That's just as stressful as working on a road crew. I can give it to that. We got to go where we fit, right? Where you're most productive in society as far as a career, you got to find that, and where you're most productive, where you can do the job as best as you can without wearing a lot of damage for it, right? So I've tried doing things in different fields and got hit and bruised, and it hit me a lot harder, like clerical stuff. My emails were a mess. So the hobbies, get back to the hobbies. What's your loved one's hobbies, right? The reason why I'm asking that is it's easy for me to think about my cars, right? I got a Trans Am and a C10. Those are complete hobby cars, period. There's cars that I could warrant having for family travel and work related, like a plow truck. Maybe I could put a nice plow on a plow truck. Maybe I could put cool lights in the headache rack or whatever they call it. And, maybe put some tires on it in the summer, make it look cool as a lifted truck, whatever. But there's vehicles that I own right now that are just primarily for me to go in, grab the steering wheel, hit the key, and go take a cruise somewhere, right? And then the other truck is more of a purpose-built quarter-mile truck, goes from 0 to whatever as fast as you want, and then when it gets to whatever, that's the end of the road. It doesn't go much faster because it's a quarter-mile truck. It's just fast off the line. But I like the truck. I like cruising the truck. I like cruising the car. But what's my family like? What's my kid into? What's my wife into? What's my family into? My in-laws and my mother-in-law and my parents. Like, those are the things that, we should ask ourselves in our relationships. This is me just giving my own advice from what I'm thinking I should be doing. And you let me know if this makes sense. Getting more involved in other people's hobbies. with one caveat that you are not going to tell them what to do, but really just come to them humbly and say, teach me about what you're doing and show interest. Don't ask questions. Don't try to overthink problems or stuff that's going on in the hobby. Just really pay attention to it. Or, like me, with the car hobby, all you really got to do is just get in when it's ready to go and not be worried about the noise it might make or the old engine at the sound and the rumbling. And it just actually, it makes sure it's safe, but it's not comfortable sometimes, right, to go for a ride. And I want to thank my wife and my son because they've been very open to hopping in this old Trans Am and going for it. There's no air conditioning. There's no heat really. The heat's weak. The windows are, you know, you know, it's an old car. But to me, it's the greatest experience. It's more to where I grew up. This visceral, basic, muscle car, rough. You can feel the road differently. It doesn't handle quite as good. It's just you put yourself back in. It's like a time capsule. You're back in the '70s. You're on the old highway. Doing the old movie scenes. But like on the flip side, I know my wife is really into doing gardening, right? And I know that she tries her best to show interest in my hobbies. So I guess this is just a moment of reflection for us to really invest in A, being interested in each other's lives, and B, the allowance, not the physical cash allowance, but being allowed to have a hobby. There's a lot of people that I know that are in relationships where their hobbies get murdered by the significant other. There's a jealousy that forms. Maybe there's a practicality. Maybe there's financial issues, which goes under practicality. I guess financial, practical, time. Is it really practical to build a car from scratch in your driveway and you only get Saturdays and Sundays off and you go to church on Sunday and Friday night you normally do this with the family. So you only really got a day every week to work on this project that's going to take however many hours to build. You're never going to have it. So that's why you see these shows like Overhauling or Garage whatever Squad. They come in and they help these people build these cars they had never a chance of any building. So I get that. But let's get away from the car stuff. Golf. Let's get to golf. Maybe people like to go golfing. And maybe they only get so many sunny days. And maybe it's really hard down in the pit of somebody's stomach when they see the sun out on a Saturday and it's good temperature and it's not a busy day and you can get out there and you can go have your golf, And if there's 100 reasons why you can't go, I'm not allowed to go. We don't want to do this. She doesn't want me to do that. We get into each other. That resentment, especially in a marriage or any kind of relationship with a significant other, it's got to grind. Now you're giving up things that you have an identity, right, in your mind that you're projecting. I picked my shirt out, right? This is a band that I listen to. It's just a shirt that I grabbed. It was clean out of a drawer. But you're going out in the world. You're being perceived. And your hobby is also a part of that identity. I really like playing music, man. I really like going to garage band. Or, hey, man, I'm into all things hunting. I want to go hunting every season that I'm allowed to hunt. I want to go for every game that I can. Every animal that's going to be out there that's able to be hunted, I want to be out there. Some people like to smoke briskets. Smoke your brisket, man. Go outside. Get your 6 ovens out, your 6 grills and ovens, and go crazy. But the point I'm trying to get is, think about how many times the people you love actually get to do their hobby, right? How many hours a day, week, do they get spending reading a good murder novel or working out at the gym? And if you're doing stuff and you're getting more time on your side of the aisle, like if I go out Saturday, Sunday, 2 times a month, so that's 2 weekends, we're going car shows. What am I doing the other two weekends? They got to be doing something for my wife. Got to do something for me, my wife, and then my son needs, because you got to think these kids, they deserve, especially if they're good kids and they have a genuine want to do something constructive, we have to give them that ability to have that hobby. Have to. My father towed me around with my BMX bike all over the state of New Jersey so I could race. He didn't have to do that, but he did it because he knew I enjoyed it. He had to facilitate that hobby. So we towed our kids over to dance. We go to martial arts. We do all this stuff. Great, great. That's part about being a parent, right? We all know that. So at the end of the day, how much time is left? You got two people that work 40 hours a week, let's say, ideally. You have enough money to pay for your house and save some money to go on vacations and trips and have hobbies. So who gets what? Who's getting the money for the allowance to play with this or do this and do that? The only thing I could say is we are a nation of very finicky people, and we are very change-minded. Like, we always want to, a lot of people are changing it up. Like, okay, maybe you get into racquetball, and then you're going to do cars, and then you're going to get a motorcycle. So a good way to get through that junk is to really figure out what you're passionate about, stick to a hobby, get really immersed in that, and be okay with not being the best rock climber if you want to ride mountain bikes and make your own forged in fire knives. Maybe you want to be a blacksmith. You can't be a blacksmith and this and that and all these different things in a weekend. Maybe you can, but it's stressful. So divvy up your time fairly with the hobbies. Make sure that everybody's feeling fulfilled, and then you will be able to go out and play with your project, maybe. Or maybe you'll have more money set aside practically, right, and buy a better vehicle that's more done, or stay within your wheelhouse of your capabilities. Maybe you can't restore a 1928 Model T. Maybe you need to go get a 1980s Monte Carlo because it's up your alley and you know how to fix that. Like, jumping into these hobbies because they're cool and a fad, you see a lot of projects getting dumped. I'll keep talking about cars, but it goes with a lot of stuff. The greenhouse. It's a huge job to put it together, right? It took me a week. It's a huge job. It's a lot of hours just messing around. But then you got to learn about the plants, the tools you need, all the cycles and things that you got to worry about, temperature and how you can keep it heated in the winter. It all encompasses the hobby. And then you have these hobbies that are really, really large scale. Hey, I want to buy on the side real estate, and I want to go there on the weekends and renovate it so I could flip houses. Like, man, that's a hobby, right? That's a financially smart decision. You're going to make money. You're going to be great. People are going to be jealous because you're going to have all nice tile floor and you're doing all this work yourself. But it's time consuming and something's got to give. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care who it is, when you overburden yourself, you will crash. It will bring you stress. You'll bring stress in your relationship, bring stress in your children's life. Even on your diet, you'll get stressed because all of a sudden now you're eating out every night because you can't take the time to make a dinner because you're doing 3 different hobbies after work. So I've talked about hobbies in the past, but this one's different. It's like, think about what it means to your significant other that they have this hobby, and let it shake itself out. For those of you that get jealous, okay, and be honest with yourself. You don't got to say it out loud to your spouse. Sometimes, if you let people do what they want and enjoy themselves, they get burnt out on it, and maybe it passes anyway. If you say no, now you're putting that carrot right on the other side of the fence, or that frisbee just flew over the fence and the dog's running back and forth trying to get to that frisbee because you told them you can't do it. My wife has supported me no matter what I've done with these car projects, and I'm looking at myself, what can I do better to make sure she has her level? She didn't come in here and say this to me. This is me trying to have a conscience and think about this stuff on my own, because we're so easy to forget. The little things. Instead of going to work on your car first on Saturday morning, why don't you do something for the family? Why don't you wash the family car, maybe get the sprinklers going, get the garden planted before it's too late. time management, and then put your car hobby on the back burner, or do it at night. Do it later in the evening when everybody's asleep. If you're not running power tools and you want to tinker on something, stay up a little bit later and do it for yourself when everybody's asleep. If you're doing it prime time, 7, 6, 8 o'clock when it's family time, and you're out there and you just come in, you eat dinner, and you go to bed, it's hard, Or for me, they hop on an ATV. I got an ATV when I go on down the trail, and it's one vehicle. I'm not going to put all three of us on the vehicle. So maybe I'll take a day and go do that. But that has to come back another day. Like another day, my wife's got to be able to either have something that I'm doing for her and her hobby to help it move forward, or better the house, or maybe she gets to go out and do something all day by herself. These are big. These are big moments. I think it would stop the corrosive resentment that builds and the jealousy, because maybe somebody's working a lot harder financially to support the family than the other person. So their mind is not ever on their hobby. It might only be on work. And there's a person sitting there like, I'm watching my child. It's homeschool time. He's pretty smart. He's reading. He's doing things himself. So I can think about what I want to do when we're done with this. Maybe those people need that time to decompress that are at work. They're coming straight home from work and they got to deal with all the nonsense at the house. And then they're like, well, I don't even know where to start with my hobby. I haven't even thought about it in a week and a half. Be mindful of it. I tend to get invested and involved in people's hobbies. So I'll get like all excited and be like, oh, you know what you should do? But maybe it's a good time to just keep a back burner and just be support. I've driven this one down, mentally to death here. I think I've made my point. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. And I guess be supportive, because at the end of the day, the people that you love and that you're in your family with and you live with, they're you. You're them. It's not another side of the aisle that you got to deal with to get through life. You're one unit, a whole family unit. And if one side is not happy, what do you think the other side's going to have? They're not going to be happy. Nobody's going to be happy. Let's work together so everybody has a chance to have a happy time. That's what I think. Nobody should be greedy. If my wife turned around tomorrow and said, get rid of all these vehicles, we need the money, I'm like, gone so fast. Whatever. I would take a match and light them. She told me to. Just because I know that she cares about me and I need to care about her the same way. And I think that this is just a reflection to remember that. Be with the ones you love, right? You got to be with them and be part of them and build them up, Help them keep their minds regulated so this toxicity doesn't build. Little things, man, they add up. Thanks for watching.